If you drive through Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, you'll find a highly visible caricature of Amish life. Roadside tourist traps promise an authentic glimpse into the simple life, while reality TV shows spin wild myths of rebellious teenagers escaping to the big city for out-of-control parties. There is even a booming multi-million-dollar publishing industry built entirely around bonnet ripper romance novels, selling a commercialized, escapist fantasy to outside readers. These pop culture stereotypes paint the Amish as a dying breed of monolithic Luddites, stubbornly frozen in the 1800s. But that image completely misrepresents who they actually are. This graph charts their modern demographics, and it reveals a startling reality. The Amish population is rapidly expanding, doubling every 20 years. Today, they operate under an umbrella of over 40 distinct, highly independent affiliations. It creates a bizarre tension. The Amish have meticulously designed their entire existence around avoiding mainstream society. Yet they somehow became the stars of the very culture they want no part of. To understand this paradox of hypervisibility, we have to look past the quilts and the horse buggies and examine the generational trauma that originally forced them into hiding. The story begins in early modern Europe during the 1525 Protestant Reformation. A radical group of Christians in Switzerland, known as Anabaptists, started performing second baptisms on adults, arguing a person had to consciously consent to their faith rather than being baptized as an infant. In the 16th century, church and state were intertwined. Rejecting infant baptism meant rejecting state authority. In response, Catholic and Protestant rulers hunted these Anabaptists down. Thousands were tortured, drowned, and burned at the stake. Their stories of torture and execution were compiled in a massive 1660 volume called The Martyr's Mirror. Today, it remains a foundational text in Amish homes, read as living religious history. This history of persecution produced the Amish value of Gelassenheit, the selfless submission to God's will and the community over the individual. By the late 1600s, a Swiss Anabaptist leader named Jakob Amman decided the group needed stricter boundaries to survive. He demanded visible physical separation from the outside world, mandating plain dress and untrimmed beards. His followers, called the Amish, eventually fled the violence of Europe for the farmland of Pennsylvania. Upon arriving in America, these scattered settlements established the ordning. These are mutually determined, hyper-localized rules that govern daily life, dictating everything from clothing to employment options for each specific town. This plain aesthetic functions as a hardened, trauma-informed architecture designed to protect their faith from a world they have historically viewed with deep distrust. The Amish engage in a selective process of cultural bargaining, choosing technology based on its potential to disrupt the group. If a piece of equipment serves the collective without threatening their independence, they will adopt it. You'll find high-precision machinery, diesel motors powering milk tanks, and solar panels charging buggy lights. Technologies like cars, smartphones, and the public electrical grid are rejected because of what they encourage. The ability to log on to the internet or drive 100 miles away on a whim physically scatters a population, tearing the social fabric apart. This also explains their famous traditions. Mutual aid, like raising a neighbor's barn or paying for community medical bills, is a calculated mechanism of a high-commitment society. Even Rumspringa, the period of limited adolescent freedom, is designed to force a conscious, deliberate choice to commit to the group over oneself. They apply this same strict filter to American civic life. The Amish gladly pay local, state, and federal taxes, but they fiercely reject outside influence over their youth, fighting to the Supreme Court in 1972 to exempt their children from mandatory public high schools. Their rules are not arbitrary. The Ordnung functions as an ongoing algorithm for survival, carefully screening out any aspect of modern progress that promotes the individual over the collective. Which brings us back to those romance novels. The massive audience consuming and writing these books aren't the Amish themselves. The primary demographic is American evangelical Christians. For these readers, the Amish provide an escapist fantasy. Many evangelicals view modern society as morally compromised, so they project a vision of ultimate purity and chastity onto their plain-dressing neighbors. But they are projecting a highly individualized, romanticized spirituality onto a group that operates entirely on strict self-denial and mandatory collectivism. The wholesome, sweet aesthetic sold in gift shops masks an incredibly demanding reality. Surviving in this community requires giving up nearly all personal autonomy, submitting to intense peer regulation, and turning your back on modern conveniences. By fiercely defending their right to remain separate and anti-individualistic, the Amish utilize the same legal protections for religious expression and autonomy that define American civil liberty. Their story is a paradox. They are outsiders who survive because of the very religious freedom the surrounding society guarantees.